Hey everyone, welcome to Book of Katherine. I hope you're doing well. So I am going to just film a little bit of a video today to talk about the vote. So we have got to get out the vote, and this is a little bit of a different kind of video because there is this thing about being boss in the community that I thought this used to be just well known. But the leftists have done such a good job of just inundating us in the media that it's kind of been forgotten. But it's just well known in good conversation, just that there are three things you don't talk about at the table if you want to have good conversation. And that is, you don't talk about money, and you don't talk about politics, and you don't talk about sex. Like, don't talk about sex, money, or politics. And that way you have good conversation at the table. So, and that is just like, no, like you don't talk about your sex life at the table. Like that makes people uncomfortable. No one wants to hear about your sex life. No one wants to hear about like your marriage breaking up if your wife cheated on you. Like that's not for the table. Like to have good conversation, to grow each other's minds, things like that. And also, like, it's just known as, like, that's, like, oversharing. And politics is the easiest way for everyone to get into arguments and things like that. So, it's just known, like, you know, that's not polite society or whatever. So, normally, you know, if we were in a different time, if we weren't about to fall apart and lose everything that we have and our right to talk like that, our actual right to have those, like if we want to protect that table and protect that dinner table and be able to have those conversations and be able to sit there and talk with each other like that. Like I was thinking about it, and if you notice, like I was trying to think about how many people have those, you know, why they would try to ban the public from coming to hear conservative speakers talk. Like they don't ban the public from hearing liberal speakers talk at colleges. And I realized that when the public comes, it's usually like older generations that come. And the older generations are like, they just have all this knowledge and they bring all of these different ideas to the table. And one of the things that they bring to the table that the leftists do not want you to hear is that they say all the time, like when the public was allowed, like I've been watching older tapes when the when the public was allowed, what you'll hear all the time is you'll hear that like a man will come to this mic and he'll say, well, my wife is a Democrat, but I'm a Republican. So like, da 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 da. Or you'll hear someone say like, I'm a Democrat, but my, you know, wife is a Republican. And what I realized was that that's something that they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that there was a time where Democrats and Republicans used to get married. Like, that is how together we were. There was a civilized time where we remember, like, we used to be, you know, politics were like something that you voted on. It was your private. We were so individualized. We were able to be such individuals and able to live so civilly that we could have our own political beliefs, but still come together to the point where we could get married and have a successful marriage and yet still have our own different political beliefs. And it also tells you that Democrats and Republicans didn't used to be so far apart. When you hear people saying, like, I don't get it, like Democrats just 5 years ago used to be about protecting our borders, like these same Democrats used to be all about these same, like, you know, Bill and Hillary built 600 miles of the border wall, and now they're totally against it. Like, what happened? And it's just special interest groups have changed. Like, the globalists they're going further with, like, their Agenda 21. Like, borders cannot happen. And things like that. And it's just, there's all these things that have changed. And so they don't want you to hear things like that. Like, we can get along so well that you can be opposite sides of the political spectrum and still be married. Like today, I don't think that the younger generations would even know that you can actually be married and be of different political beliefs. Like I have to be honest, like when I started thinking through it, I was like, gosh, I don't even know my husband's political beliefs. Gosh, I don't know if we've even talked politics. Like, have we? Like, is that a big thing? Like, I mean, I know I feel strongly about my political beliefs, but is it to the point where it's something that would break us? Like, it's something that I know he believes strongly in. What we do believe in very strongly is that our vote is our own. Like, he has his, well, no, that's right. We did have a very big talk. Strong. He thought his vote didn't count. And that's something I've come across in young men a lot. I hear young men say all the time, my vote doesn't count. And before we dated, we had a huge argument. Not an argument, but we had a huge talk where I basically convinced him that his vote counted. And that is something seriously. Like, I was like, your vote counts. And I talked him into his vote counting. And then, so now he has his ballot and now he votes and that's it. Like, that was the extent of it. But a lot of young men don't think their votes count. Like, I heard just recently, like, a young man came to a big political debate and big thing. And he was like, well, I live in Maine and my vote doesn't count anyway. And I was like, there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as your vote doesn't count. And why is it that I only hear that from young men? I've never heard a woman say that. I've never heard a woman say that ever. I've never heard a young girl say it. I've only heard young men say that. And that is something that devastates me. Because, and I would like to think that, the reason why is because, we women didn't get our vote till very long ago. But let me make something very clear to you, young men. You didn't have your vote all that long ago either. It was the rich who had a vote. It was the rich who had a vote. The vote wasn't given to the common man. It wasn't given to you until very long ago. Like, it used to be where only the rich had the vote. Rich men had it. Not you. You were only given the vote only very shortly before women were given the right to vote. Remember that. People died and bled for your right to vote. Look on smartvoter.org and look it up. Moving on to the right to vote. How can you get the vote out? How can you get it out? I already covered it in my Matrix Part 2. I'll link it right up here. But it's so important that I wanted to cover it again. Here's how you can do it. Just go ahead and get flyers out because we know this is what the media does. The media absolutely has a blackout on any of the DNC sins. There is a blackout on DNC sins. There is a blackout on certain facts. There's a blackout on a ton of facts, right? So what you can do is you can go ahead and let them know what the DNC's actually done. This is a very odd video because I'm not saying like vote for the RNC, though that is absolutely what I think. I don't think we should be stupid and throw our vote away on a middle party. I used to think that. I used to be like, well, vote for what you believe in. I no longer think that way because I am like, we have to be as smart as the leftists are. Like, I'm watching the way they play and I'm like, if you're going to beat someone at chess, you have to play by the same rules they do. Like, if you're going to beat them at chess, you have to be as smart as they are. Watch how they play. What game are they playing? You have to be as smart as them. You have to be as smart, and you have to enter that game. And if you're going to enter that game, that's where you have to go. And the only people who are playing chess against the DNC is the RNC at this point. That's just the fact that the RNC didn't have to play. They played against the president. They played against him during the primaries. But now that they're there, now not all of them are. Like, I am deathly against McCain. Like, I've seen what he did. And anyone who was in the bush, for anyone who goes with them, you have to put in a different RNC one. You have to be smart. It's not black and white. Be smart. You have to put someone else in. You have to make sure. You have to be smart. But it's not about going out there and stomping for the RNC. It is about going there and educating against the DNC. Educating them about what Trudeau's government has done. Educating them about what's going on in London. Show them where these policies lead. Show them what's going on. Show them what the reality is. Like show them what Soros is doing in the schools. And it doesn't have to be going out there and just being like, here, I'm going to dump all this on you. But it's literally putting some facts on the sheet that you are passionate about, things that you are passionate about, things that got you interested in all of this. If you are a feminist, do what H&K is doing. Show them what H&K has done to women and how the DNC has gone in with people who think a woman's voice is worth 50% of a woman's or of a man's. Just educate people and just flyer. It is no longer about internet and email. They control the internet. You can send out emails, but you're going to look like a spammer. This is about going to the streets. They're in the schools. Go into the streets. Go door to door. We have to start going in person. And everyone's like, if we don't have email, if we lose email, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to shut down email. They're already shutting down. They've shut down my email. You know what they haven't touched? They haven't touched the mail system. They haven't touched the U.S. mail. And you're like, oh, we can't give our addresses. Who says you have to give your real name on the address? But you can put your address, get a P.O. box. P.O. box is like $50 a year. I've been doing a P.O. box for forever because someone stole one of my checks that I got paid by a check in California. I got paid by a check in California, and somebody, now I know, somebody who just came by, stole my mail out of my mailbox, changed the number on the check, stole from the people who paid me, stole from me. I never got paid. They accused me, then found out it was this other person. That person and the bank cashed it because the bank just cashes everything, even though it wasn't me or my signature. They walked in and did it. And from then on, I had a P.O. box, had everything sent to a P.O. box because I had fraud committed against me and I was never paid for it. So I did a P.O. box. It is just, it protects you and it protects your information. But I'm serious, people. You have to start going in person and start learning how to talk to people. Go to old folks' homes. Get out there. Tell them what's going on with the fraud system. Tell them, do you know that your absentee ballot is not being registered, that they're dumping it? And this is a big thing. Are you registered at a polling place? Because they plan on shutting polling places down. You need to open up new polling places and you need to man those polling places. Are you educated on what they're doing at the polling places? Do you know they're putting out their own literature there? Do you know they're putting out signage there? You need to be at those polling places making sure that it's actually adhering to the standards, not putting out the opposition things, but just making sure it's actually adhering to standards, making sure that if it says to check ID, that you're actually checking ID. Like, so many people at the last election went and their vote was already counted. Someone had already voted underneath their name. Protect your vote, you guys. Go out there, start finding out what your polling place is, start opening up new polling places. If you care about your nation, like, they are cool, calm, and collected for a reason. They have a battle plan. Do you? Do we? Are you serious about protecting that table and your rights to speak as an individual? Do you enjoy having your own voice? Do you like seeing everything disappear offline? Like, it's not fun, and that's only going to increase. Start building foot soldiers. Just go out there and just start walking the streets, walking door to door. And I could not be more strong about this. When you go door to door, do not start in by saying, hi, I'm here to convince you not to vote for the TNC. No. Go out there and say, hi, do you have questions? I am here as someone, I am just here. Do you have questions about the media? Do you have questions about issues today? Do you need real facts? Are you looking for real facts? I have real facts for you. Like, I know it's hard to get real facts in today's news media. Like, our news media today is covering only one topic. Would you like news on other topics? Because I have it available. The less confrontational you are, the more willing they will be to ask you questions. And they'll ask you if you're with anything and just be like, no, I'm just an individual citizen. And I know it was really hard for me to get facts, and I'm realizing that it must be hard for other people to get facts. And I can't share on the internet, so I figured I'd go door to door and just be like, I'm just here. If you have questions, you can ask me them. If not, it's fine. I'll go on my way. And the more non-confrontational you are, the more willing they might be to ask you questions. Because people out there are like you. They just want someone to listen to them. And you need to learn how to listen. And listen to them, and you'd be surprised what you hear. You may hear stories. You may get really good research that you can include. Like sometimes I listen to Trump things, like I just listened to his West Virginia press conference, because what was the most valuable part ends up being the stories that I hear from people. Because like somebody said, like they got $50 a paycheck, a raise in her paycheck. And Nancy Pelosi had been like, that's peanuts, right? And that's so sad. But she was like, now I can afford internet so my daughter can do her homework. And I was like, that's right. People can't afford internet. Like, I know in California it was almost impossible to afford internet. It was almost impossible because people aren't getting pay raises out there. And now I know why. Like, I didn't know why that was, but people haven't had pay raises. Even in engineering industries, they haven't had pay raises since the 90s, since 1993. No one's had a pay raise in California since 93. The only people getting pay raises are teachers. Like when I left, the teachers were getting the same exact salary as the engineers. Just go out there and let people ask you questions. Go to parks, have a handout, always have a handout, and have go to bars. Be available at bars and be ready to answer questions on anything, from Islam. And if you don't know something, just be like, I haven't researched that. That's a really good topic. I'll have to research that and get back to you. Would you mind if I took down your email or your phone number so I could get back to you on that? Or add your name to an email list and I could get back to you that, or a mailing list? Or would you mind? That's great. Okay. And what's your name? All right. And then always end with a handshake and say, it was really nice meeting you, and end with a handshake. And it makes us as a nation stronger. It's the last thing they want is us talking to one another face to face. That is the absolute last thing they want. And that you can all you have to do is take some of these facts that they aren't allowing being shared, any kind of fact, any kind of voting fraud fact, and you can just put it on windshields. Just print a list of facts and always put the source at the bottom. And just put a list of facts and say, if you want to know more facts, you can visit my site here or visit these sites here, and just leave it on windshields. Don't have a big citizens for this or Republicans for this or whatever for this. People just want facts now. They're so tired of political parties. They just want education now. And just leave it on people's windshields, and that's it. And they'll be so grateful. And you'll get them started down the road to education, and they'll learn. They'll learn once they have a little bit, right? They keep going. Be like, did you know there are other sites other than YouTube? Did you know there's BitChute, or there's this site or this site? There's all sorts of things. Just facts. And always credit the sources. Even simple things like, God, there are simple ones like they call Milo a white supremacist, but he's gay and married to a black guy. You can do that when you're in liberal cities. Here's a list of the gay guys that they call white supremacists. You know, little things like that. It depends on the area you're in. I always go with what got to you. A lot of things get to me, but everyone has their passion. Talk about your passion and get it out there. It's not hopeless, but the internet isn't the way to go anymore. It's part of it. You can do a website that has facts. That's good. And you can do a channel, but yeah, I'll get to that later. I'll do another piece on your channel and numbers, and when I'm done with it, I'll link it up here. I'll hope to remember to link it up here. All right, I love you guys. Have fun going out there and talking to people. You can do it, and start small, then grow big. If you don't feel comfortable talking to people, then just flyer. Flyer, 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 facts everywhere, flyer, flyer, flyer. And you'd be surprised at how many people that you can educate in such a short amount of time with just facts. All right? Facts about things the DNC. Geez, think about Hillary, what happened when you saw your first Hillary documentary. Just tell people about that. It's just amazing the things that people don't know. And it takes such a little bit. All right? But there's easy ways to do it. Easy ways to do it. Because people want to know. They would never vote for these things if they knew it was happening. They would never vote for them if they knew it was happening. And they keep thinking smiling, charming young men. But remind them, be like, remember the last time you smiled for a charming, handsome young man? Put the smile, like the smile, charming, next to Obama. Put the two smiling faces next to it and be like, if you have a handsome, young, charming young man running for DNC in your state, put it next to Obama and say, remember the last time we voted for a charming, handsome young guy? Do you remember what happened when you voted on handsome, charm, and inexperience? You know, when they're inexperienced, it's just money behind them. Do you really want inexperienced running things again? Because that means a more experienced hand is behind them. And it's not a good one. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace out.